Mm. Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football. And first of all, how are we feeling? 3-1 Arsenal. It's been, 6 hours now? Don't feel good at all. I won't lie. It hurts. It really hurts right now. I won't lie. Just tell me your thoughts down below, of course. But the thing that upsets me is like, with Liverpool, I could just be pure like angry and it was all shit, and I could just be like, the players didn't try. But I feel like today that it wasn't really the players. I think we were. I'm not going to say we were robbed. I don't think we were particularly brilliant. I think it was an improvement. I don't think we're particularly brilliant, but I think it's the frustration of. Oh, so I'm just going to move that. I think it was the frustration of like decisions not going our way, missing a penalty. I think for me, it's about one or two individuals letting us down today. And ultimately, top four is gone. Conference League, here we go. Absolutely bitter because Arsenal fans are doing my head in online. I actually am sitting there like, I'm so bitter. I'm so pissed off. I am rattled by it. I'm going to be honest. I am rattled. I'm annoyed. I fucking hope Spurs get top four because Arsenal are doing my head in. I don't like them. I don't like seeing them happy. You know, I do like Saka. He's a good footballer, but he's tweeting, "Oh, I hope you have a good weekend, Gunners." And I just want to reply, "You fucking ruined mine." But moving on. We will talk about the game in a bit, but yeah, there's big ups. Hope you're keeping well. I mean, other than Man United, I'm actually quite good at the moment, but United always making my weekends worse. Got a bit unlucky with VR and missing chances, of course. And look, first of all, before I get into what's been said, so Ralph Rangnick did a pre-match interview where he basically went in on the Glazers, made some. Ralph Rangnick in his interview yesterday basically called the players lazy and not trying, and called out the Glazers. He didn't say those exact words, but he basically suggested that. Paul Scholes exposed that Lingard had been leaking news to him about dressing room being toxic. McTominay basically said they all hate each other, but obviously not said that. He said other words that suggest that all the players hate each other, and the problems and the leaks, it's all coming out. It's all being exposed at the moment, really, and it's a really, really toxic mess, Manchester United at the moment. And we are going to get into what's been said and all of that. But before I get into it, I saw a tweet today on Twitter, and it said, maybe Ralph isn't a bad coach. Have we not thought that the players he's dealing with are making him look like a bad coach? Because Ollie this season has been a shocking coach. But like this time a year ago, although I was never Ollie's biggest fan, this time a year ago, you'd say Ollie was doing a good job at United. You would, because we got to this time a year ago, we were going to finish second comfortably. We got to Europa League final. We hadn't lost the Europa League this time a year ago. You would have said Ollie's doing a good job at United. And then Ollie, this season, he's done a woeful job. 4-1 Watford, 5-0 Liverpool. And, Rangnick's done a woeful job. Do you think if we had Pep Guardiola, we'd be getting top four this season? See it like, and people might call me crazy, I think we could have Pep, I think we could have Klopp, I think we could have any manager in the world. But I think when it's so obvious that you've got to work with a bunch of players that aren't trying, like, what do we expect? Like, do you know what I mean? I actually feel like, well, there is blame to be put on Ralph. Why is Ronaldo not captain? Why is Ronaldo not taking the penalty? Why is certain players playing? Like, why is Bruno and Telles playing? They don't deserve to play. Well, there is blame on Ralph. I'm not saying that Ralph is blame free. And I just think it gets past the point where I can't blame the coach, because I don't think Ralph is a bad coach. I think these players are making him look worse than he is because these players aren't right. I don't think any coach, when they whinge, whine, they complain, they don't like each other and they don't want to be there. Someone put on Twitter today that, Ralph Rangnick demands a very high intensity football. How can Ralph Rangnick can't play his philosophy? We can't play the football Ralph Rangnick wants to play because the players are too lazy to do it. Ralph Rangnick wants high intensity football, which is where you need to be fit, where you need to run around a lot, where you need to press a lot. The football Ralph Rangnick plays requires players to be on it all the time. And when our players are just lazy, our players can't be on it all the time. And I just think maybe that's right. Maybe that's right as well. I'm still fuming. I'm still in a mood about it all, guys. I'll be 100% honest with you. Tottenham Hotspur bottling it as well. Arsenal getting too big for their boots. It'll be interesting to see if De Gea and Ronaldo will both beat United next season. This is the thing. De Gea and Ronaldo are two players that don't suit Ten Hag's style of football. But De Gea and Ronaldo are the only two players you can't really fault at Man United this season. Honestly, yeah, that's the thing. And I think De Gea and Ronaldo right now, long term, they're not the solution to De Gea and Ronaldo, and long term, they're not going to help us. But I think next season we need De Gea and Ronaldo, and I think the season after will be about bringing them out, because Ronaldo at 37 is playing for the shittest United side ever and is still managing to look good. He could have got 2 assists today, Ronaldo. In a shit team. Nick says, my thoughts, fuck them all and all the press restart, as there are so many just wanting money now and some things are bigger than the club. You're absolutely spot on. This would never happen with Fergie and Keane. I think with the players, it's like they just sit here and they're like, it's fine, I don't care if I'm shit, at least I'm going to get a wage. Bruno Fernandes has got this fat wage, now he's shit. Honestly. And Daniel says, the players aren't showing enough, get a load of under 21s, under 18s on. Honestly, I agree. I honestly thought, why are we putting Mata on when he's leaving in the summer? Why don't we just give Garnacho a go? The season's dead and gone. The season's gone. The season's over. The season's dead. So instead of playing Juan Mata and Jesse fucking Lingard, that aren't going to be here next season, give Hannibal a chance. Give Garnacho a chance because they're going to be here. Ten Hag has revealed, well, not Ten Hag, but it's been reported from reliable sources. Ten Hag likes Garner, Garnacho, and Mejbri. So fucking play them. Just... yeah, frustrates me. Bruno now has the United DNA. The United DNA is do nothing at all. The United DNA is do nothing at all. It's what it stands for. And Bruno's starting to do nothing at all. And Eric Ten Hag will be crazy not to utilise the talent and experience. Most importantly, the mentalities of Ronaldo and De Gea with so many other issues to deal with next season. Absolutely spot on, Andrew. We need Ronaldo's mentality. And look, I don't think Scott McTominay is good enough for Manchester United. Scott McTominay was shit today. And I think the reason Ollie played Scott McTominay, Mourinho played Scott McTominay, and Rangnick plays Scott McTominay every week. Everyone goes, why is McTominay always playing his shit? Maybe the reason Scott McTominay plays for Manchester United every single week and every single manager likes him is because there's so many bad eggs in the dressing room that at least with Scott McTominay, you've got a player that's got his head screwed on. You've got a player that he might not be our best player, and I don't think he's good enough for this club, but you've got a player that's going to work hard every week. Try. And, you think at a club like Man United, every player will be trying. But we're in a situation where not many players try. The players turned on Mourinho. Who did Mourinho trust and put faith in? McTominay. The players turned on Ollie. Who did Ollie always show faith in? McTominay. The players turned on Rangnick. Who's Rangnick constantly showing his faith in, even though he's been crap? McTominay. Do you not think with McTominay doing these post-match interviews, with the things that McTominay says, McTominay, you can criticise his performance on the pitch, but you cannot criticise McTominay's mentality. Now, McTominay was one of our worst players today. McTominay was shite. But maybe McTominay is liked by every manager. And maybe the reason McTominay plays so much for Manchester United is, although we've got players that are better than McTominay at the club, they are so big-headed, egotistical, and they have the wrong attitude that maybe a manager would prefer a player with the right attitude than a better player with the wrong attitude. Maybe that's it. Daniel said he thinks Bruno's lacking confidence lately, as is Rashford. It's just the thought of if Ten Hag will make them part of his plans next season. I think Rashford and Bruno will be part of Ten Hag's plans next season. I do agree. I knew Bruno was going to miss the penalty. If you watch my watch along, I kind of knew Bruno was going to miss the penalty. I was like, Bruno's been crap. He's got no confidence. He can't finish at the moment. He'd missed his last penalty. I had no confidence in Bruno taking the penalty. And it's very clear that Bruno's got no confidence at the moment. Rashford's got no confidence at the moment. And I think we're at the point with Manchester United where I think the players about a month ago just accepted the season was over. As bad as that sounds, I think the players a month ago just thought the season's over. They didn't believe they were going to get top four. And then obviously Arsenal dropping points, Spurs are dropping points. United are in a position where we could have got top four. But the players just sort of stopped believing. And I think the last couple of games, the last 4 or 5 games, the United players have just stopped believing. I think United are playing like the season's over. And you can tell the mentality of every single one of those Man United players is they just want the season over. I think someone like Maguire, he needs the season over. I think Bruno needs the season over. And I think Rashford needs the season over. Bruno, Rashford and Maguire are not as bad as they've been playing this year. But they need the season over. They need to hit restart. They need that fresh gap. They need that break. And I will say, everyone's saying, oh, see, it's not Maguire's fault. See, it's not Maguire's fault. I wasn't saying the reason Man United dropped so many points is because of Maguire. It's not Bruno's fault that we're not getting Champions League. It's not Maguire's fault that we're not getting Champions League. It's collectively lots of people's fault, especially those higher up, that we're not getting Champions League football. But what kind of annoys me is it doesn't matter who plays at the back for United. Lindelof and Brown are our best centre-back pairing. They weren't actually that bad today. It doesn't matter who plays at the back for United. Harry Maguire shouldn't have played today. He should have been dropped. He was poor. And I think we could have been worse with Harry Maguire playing instead of Varane. People say, oh, you're shit when Harry Maguire isn't playing. Yes, but we're shit when he is playing and he should be dropped. But I think it's very evident that the problem at Manchester United could be defensive coaching. Because Varane is not looking like the centre-back he was at Real Madrid. Maguire doesn't look like the centre-back he's at England. Luke Shaw looks better for England than Man United. Do you not think that maybe some of our defensive issues comes down to coaching? Because I think the coaching of the back line at United is awful. Wan-Bissaka's first season at Man United was a really good, promising right back. Wan-Bissaka was brilliant in his first season. Got him team of the season. Gone downhill. You know, Luke Shaw managed to have a really good season. Gone downhill. Maguire was quite good last season. Gone downhill. The whole defensive structure's gone downhill. And I think maybe United need to sort out some coaches as well. I'm just saying. Mad, and agree with you on this time, Alice. Play kids like Garnacho, Hannibal, Mejbri, and Garn, who's on loan. Exactly. I'm fed up of this first team. I'm fed up with this first team, and I'm going to get into the news. I'm going to get into what Tom and I said, what Rangnick said, what Ten Hag said, what everyone said. Ten Hag's been asked about United just now. What's he said about the current situation at Man United? I'm going to get into that in just a second, but I want to say to everybody listening, with Erik Ten Hag and to Man United, we need to back Erik Ten Hag. We need to show Erik Ten Hag the respect he deserves. Because Erik Ten Hag is going to have a very difficult job. He's going to have to come in and he's going to sort these players out. These players didn't play for Oli, they didn't play for Mourinho, and they didn't play for Ralph. What makes you think these players aren't going to do the same thing to Erik Ten Hag? What makes you think that? I think, even if we don't finish top 4 next season, which I don't think we will, even if we don't have a good season next season, it's about backing Ten Hag as a fan base and going, yeah, it's the players, not Ten Hag. We need to give Ten Hag time, and I urge the fan base, if Ten Hag has one loss, let's not be going Ten Hag out. And what I like about the fan base right now, and what I think is going well with the United fan base right now, is I don't see many fans turning on Rangnick. I think us as a fan base, we go, Rangnick's got things wrong, maybe he's not the best coach, but as a fan base, we're not turning on Rangnick, because I think we've woken up to the idea that there are bigger problems than, Ralf Rangnick and the manager at the club. It's the players. As Diego says, guys, please do hit that like button if you have not already. Let's go for 300 likes by the end of the live stream. We've got 250 people watching. Can we get 300 likes? And of course, subscribe if you're new. And George says, I blame the players. If these egos bitch and moan under Ten Hag, that will be in trouble from the start. Exactly. But one thing we know about Erik Ten Hag is, and why I really like the appointment of Erik Ten Hag is, Pochettino lets the PSG players walk all over him. Player power is a big problem at PSG, and Pochettino lets all these players walk all over him. Erik Ten Hag has a reputation of coming in and completely changing the mentality of the dressing room. It just came out today that all the Ajax players were so happy that Ten Hag got his move and were wishing him well. And Ten Hag and the Ajax players go gaming together and all get on and have a good relationship. Well, we know today from Lingard and McTominay that Man United don't get on at all. They all fucking hate each other. We know from people that previously played under Ten Hag that when he was at Utrecht, the dressing room was quite toxic and there wasn't a winning mentality at Utrecht. Then Ten Hag came in and he transformed the mentality of the dressing room. He instilled his winning mentality. And because Ten Hag demanded so much and had such high demands, that he completely transformed that dressing room. And Ten Hag, has a reputation of changing dressing rooms. And I'm very glad we've got Ten Hag instead of Pochettino, because these players would walk all over Pochettino. He'd be another yes man. He'd be a puppet, which is exactly why these players probably wanted Poch, because they knew with Ten Hag it's going to be harder. Nick says Ralph is quality. It's the owners and players just proving now that they are the problem. I absolutely agree. I think Rangnick keeps calling out the owners, which we're going to get into. Gary Neville's calling out the owners. McTominay was calling out the owners today. He's I think, and I said this on Twitter, I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter or not, but I said on Twitter today, I think it's becoming a situation where maybe you had to get this bad. I think this is the worst time to be a Man United fan. I think this is lower than Moyes, because when they got this low with Moyes, we just thought we'd be back the next season. I think this is lower than Van Gaal, because we ended Van Gaal on an FA Cup. I think this is lower than Mourinho, because at least with Mourinho, we'd won a Europa League and we'd won trophies. We've not won a trophy in 5 years. This squad is the least likeable squad we have. But also this season, there was expectations to win a trophy, and we didn't. There was expectations that top 4 was a given, and we didn't get top 4. And I think this is the worst time to be a United fan, because no trophy in 5 years. The dressing room's so bad. We've got leaks coming out almost every single day, just basically telling us how bad the dressing room is. Ollie's thrown under the bus, Rangnick's thrown under the bus. We've got through so many managers. Van Gaal, Ollie, Mourinho. And I think we've finally woken up as a fan base and gone, maybe when Roy Keane said 2.5 years ago, leopards don't change their spots, Roy Keane was absolutely spot on, because I think we've all woken up as a fan base and gone, these players have done it again. And I think this is the worst time to be a United fan, because we've realised that these players are a big problem. It doesn't matter who the coach is, these players are a big problem. I think it's got so low that, this is 9 years. This is 9 years now. Under David Moyes, you could say it's a mistake. Under Van Gaal, you could say you're learning. But then we've got to the point where it's 9 years and it's like, okay, cool, Van Gaal comes in, but it fails. Oh, cool, Mourinho comes in, but it fails. Oh, cool, Ollie comes in, but ultimately it fails. And it's like, oh, as a United fan base, we want Ten Hag, but we're like, if we continue the way we are, then it's going to fail. And I think we're at the point where we've hit rock bottom as a United fan, losing 9-0 on aggregate to Liverpool. This is the worst season in Manchester United history, because at least when Man United was shit in the past, they tried. The players aren't trying. The players don't like each other. Dressing room leaks are coming out. It's the worst season in United history because we're not going to get top four with the expectation that we would get top four as a given at the start of the season. But not only that, we have to watch our arch rivals, City and Liverpool, go neck and neck for the title. It's probably going to be a City and Liverpool Champions League final. Arsenal are probably going to get top four thanks to us. City, Liverpool, Champions League final. City, Liverpool to go for the title. Liverpool could win the quadruple. Our arch rivals are doing everything that we want to be doing this season. And we are sinking to a position where if Wolves and West Ham win their games in hand, we're sitting in 8th. We are the new Arsenal. We are the banter club. And I think this is the worst it's been as Man United fan. This is the lowest it's ever been. And guys, I remember in the summer, someone said to me, they said, Alice, would you take relegation if it got rid of the Glazers? And I sat there and I said, if it meant long-term the Glazers were going to be gone and we were going to get good owners in, then I'd get relegated this year. I actually said that. I would take getting relegated and spending a season in the Championship if it meant the Glazers had gone and we'd get new owners that cared and do what Newcastle did, and because ultimately we'd be back. And I feel the same right now. I feel, I think Ollie being sacked was the right thing. I don't, you can say Rangnick's doing a bad job, but I think I'm almost happy to sacrifice this season, make this the worst season ever. I'm almost happy to finish 10th. Because I feel like if that happened, we'd get the change that we need. And I almost feel like Man United has been sinking for a while, but we've finally hit that rock bottom. And maybe this rock bottom is what we need for the Glazers to go, shit, there needs to be a change. Because we've had lows in the past and nothing's changed. But this is the lowest of the low. And it feels like things are starting to change. Now, we don't know if they're going to say that they're starting to change to shut us up a bit. But I feel, as a United fan, things are slowly starting to change. And I said, maybe this is good. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Maybe the fact that it's got this shit is an absolute blessing in disguise for United, because maybe we need to hit rock bottom to get back to where we are. Daniel says, imagine what Ollie's thinking of all of this. Ollie's probably thinking, thank fuck I got sacked, isn't he? He must be. And the board will have to wake up to, he says, lucky, and I agree. And Diego says, for me, your squad is in need of stability and a good manager and good coaching staff. Get Ten Hag in and the changing room to change as soon as possible. I agree. But going back to my point, Manchester United right now are starting to make changes. Now, I don't know if it's a coincidence that we brought in Ralph Rangnick and we're starting to make changes, but have you noticed Ed Woodward left this season, okay? Richard Arnold made it clear he wants to do Ed Woodward's job, but not the footballing side of the job. In the last year, we've appointed Murta and Fletcher to do a sporting and technical director job. Again, Murta, as I always say, Murta and Fletcher are lucky to be in that job. They're not experienced for that job. But we're just going to use it as a slow and steady step in the right direction. Because if you think about it, Murta and Fletcher, I don't think they're the right people for the job. They don't have the qualifications for the job. But Murta and Fletcher got Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo in this summer. And Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo are probably the 3 most likeable players in the squad right now. They're not the problem. Whereas when Ed Woodward was doing transfers, we spent 150 million on Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire and Dan James. And then when John Murta did transfers, we spent less money on Ronaldo, Varane and Sancho than we did on Daniel James, Harry Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. So I think the first positive change we made was actually getting a sporting director and a technical director, even though Dan Fletcher's useless. I think that was the first positive change. Getting rid of Woodward this season's a change. But have you noticed with Ralph Rangnick coming in, United seem to be making the changes that they should have been made 5-6 years ago when they realised it wasn't working. We are actually changing the structure of the board. We are actually making a change. So obviously we've got rid of our recruitment scouts. 2 of them have been sacked. That's a message. Romano said United sacking their recruitment staff is a message that not only do they want a new manager, they want a new squad, they want a new staff. They want a new board. That's the thing in the right direction. Ralph Rangnick hopefully will get this consultancy role, so he will be allowed to say. John Murta, actually, it's been said that John Murta really respects Ralph Rangnick's opinion and listens to Ralph Rangnick. If you think about it, losing 9-0 in aggregate to Liverpool, as bad as that is, as horrible as it is losing 9-0 in aggregate to Liverpool, it's triggered us to sack our scouts that have been awful and the recruitment's been awful. That's a step in the right direction. The fact that the fans are so angry and the fact that it's so low at United right now meant we had to get Ten Hag. I think right now, if there was a positive feeling around Manchester United, we would have got Poch. I think we would have got Poch, but the board realised the fans are so angry, they need something that's going to lift the fans and they can put something positive on social media. If they were posting Poch on social media, United fans would be angry, even more angry. If you're posting Ten Hag, at least the United fans happy. I think the fact that it's got so low means we've got Ten Hag. I think the fact that Ralf Rangnick's here means we've got Ten Hag. But I think the fact that we lost 9-0 to aggregate meant there was a change in the scouting. And Man United are looking at a co-sporting director. It's been reported that United are looking to bring in a co-sporting director. And, if we can get Paul Mitchell in, it's brilliant. Man United are letting Ten Hag and Mitchell van der Gaard with him, hopefully Steve McLaren. And we might be in a situation next season where actually United have finally made the changes they needed to make years ago. Because every single manager has ultimately failed at United because they've had to work in this club structure of, well, the manager gets undermined, the players are allowed power. It's a commercial club, it's about business. Woodward gone, tick. Scouts gone, tick. Players will be going in the summer, tick. Now it's about getting the right people in. Ten Hag, tick. Mitchell van der Gaard, tick. If we can get Paul Mitchell, fucking tick. Because Ralf Rangnick, Paul Mitchell, Mitchell van der Gaard and Ten Hag are the 4 people that we'd want making decisions at this club, and that could drive the positive change that we need. I think that's how I feel. That game, Ralph. What do you mean by that? So I completely misread a comment. I don't know what you mean by that, but I think that's sort of how I feel at United right now. That I don't believe. So we've got Ten Hag, and I'm going to get into Ten Hag's interview and what Ten Hag said, but we've promised Ten Hag power and control. If United stick to their promise of giving Ten Hag power and control, if United actually listen to Ralf Rangnick, we might move forward as a club. And I think maybe, as I said, going back to my point, I think maybe the fact that it's got so shit, and maybe the fact that we brought Ralf Rangnick in, who isn't working, is actually the best thing for this club. Because even if, let's say, Ollie was still here and we got 4th under Ollie, we're ultimately going to crumble again in the future. Maybe it takes us to just literally completely fuck up to finally be like, boom, and do that thing that we need. People saying De Gea out. De Gea is the least of the problem at this club. I honestly, De Gea is one of the last players I want out. But guys, before I get into what Ten Hag had to say, because Ten Hag had an interview today and Ten Hag had an interview yesterday, which has some interesting things. And before I get into the leakers exposed, make sure you hit that like button. Let's go for 300 likes by the end of the live stream. We've got 400 people watching, so please do hit that like button if you haven't already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. But I want to say with the leaks, I'm getting quite strong indications that Jesse Lingard and Eric Bailly might well have something to do with the leaks coming out. And you know what? This is my theory. This is just a theory. This is just a guess. I'm not saying that this is true. Just bear this in mind. But do you think something to do with Phil Jones starting over Eric Bailly might mean that there's a reason Ralf Rangnick doesn't like Eric Bailly? Do you know when it came out last month that Man United actually know who the leaker is? And why in a game where you would need pace at the back would you start Phil Jones over Eric Bailly? Like, I know Phil Jones was good versus Wolves, but who in their right mind would start Phil Jones over Eric Bailly? Do you think, and I sat there and I thought, maybe Eric Bailly is not starting, getting any game time or not even getting a look in when Phil Jones is, because maybe Eric Bailly is one of the players that's causing problems in the dressing room. Maybe Eric Bailly is one of the players leaking stuff. Because the fact that Eric Bailly publicly went on Instagram and said, yeah, I want to start, like someone said, start Bailly and Varane, and Bailly replied to that. The fact that Bailly would publicly go on Instagram and agree that him and Varane should start, do that publicly, what is he doing privately? No, I like Eric Bailly, but the fact that he is calling out stuff publicly, what is he calling out privately? We knew under Ollie that Eric Bailly was one of the players getting constantly annoyed how Maguire was playing and not him. And there was this whole article that came out that Eric Bailly can't understand why Maguire played over him. And Eric Bailly had this big fallout with Ollie because he didn't play the Leicester game and Maguire did, and we lost 4-2 to Leicester. You know, I'm not saying Eric Bailly is the leaker, but what I'm saying is Phil Jones starts or not Bailly. Maybe there's an issue with Ralf Rangnick and Bailly. Bailly publicly basically saying, yeah, me and Varane should start. If he's saying that publicly, what's he saying privately? You know, we know that Bailly was frustrated with his lack of game time under Ollie. I think Eric Bailly could be one of the players causing problems in the dressing room. Ralf Rangnick said that Eric Bailly should not be saying stuff like that on social media. Eric Bailly is getting completely ignored by Ralf Rangnick. I like Eric Bailly, but if Phil Jones is playing and not Eric Bailly, do you think that Rangnick is not playing the players that are causing problems off the pitch? Because United know who the leakers are. And do you think it could be some kind of coincidence that United aren't playing players who are causing problems on the pitch? I don't know. It's just a theory. I don't know what you guys think. But also, has Paul Scholes basically revealed Jesse Lingard as a leaker? Because maybe Eric Bailly isn't the only person leaking news at Manchester United. Have we not thought, oh, could Jesse Lingard be leaking stuff at United, because Paul Scholes has said, well, Jesse Lingard told me the dressing room is toxic. Paul Scholes has almost outed Jesse Lingard as the leaker. And Gary Neville said that he knows who the Manchester United leaker are, and Manchester United who the Manchester United leaker are, and which players are not getting a look in. Dean Henderson, Jesse Lingard, and Eric Bailly. Dean Henderson, Jesse Lingard, and Eric Bailly are getting completely ignored. And you can understand with Dean Henderson getting ignored because De Gea has been so good. But Lingard and Bailly have basically been completely ignored by Ralf Rangnick. And when we've been so poor, and Ralf Rangnick is looking at giving Elanga a chance, looking at giving Phil Jones a chance, Ralf Rangnick is playing Mata, he's playing Phil Jones, he's playing Elanga. He was turning to Phil Jones, Mata, and Elanga before he was turning to Lingard, before he's turning to Eric Bailly. And that says to me, if the club know who the leakers are, and the two players that can barely get a look in are Lingard and Eric Bailly, and Ralf Rangnick is now annoyed at Lingard because he knows that Lingard's been telling Paul Scholes stuff, and he's annoyed at Eric Bailly because Eric Bailly's been saying stuff publicly. We know Lingard is been telling stuff to pundits about Man United dressing room issues. We know that Bailly is putting his frustrations publicly. Could these guys have something to do with the leaks? Because we also know with Jesse Lingard, he had a big strop when he didn't get his move to Newcastle, and he was allowed another holiday because he had a big strop. Jesse Lingard, when the squad was thin, just had a 2-week holiday, and he got his holiday extended to 3 weeks because he didn't get his move and he had a big strop. I like Lingard, I like Bailly, but I would suspect that Lingard and Bailly have a big part to play in these dressing room leaks and stuff coming out, because they're not playing a lot. And we know whoever's doing these dressing rooms at Man United, it's not going to be Maguire, it's not going to be McTominay, it's not going to be Bruno. Whoever's doing the dressing room leaks at Man United is someone that's not playing. And the dressing room leaks came out under Ollie. Bailly was never getting a chance under Ollie. Lingard will come off the bench, have a good game, but never get a chance under Ollie. Ollie lied to Lingard. Ollie promised Lingard game time, stopped him moving to West Ham and didn't play him. Harry Maguire was fucking dreadful and injured, and Harry Maguire still played over Eric Bailly. So Eric Bailly and Lingard had every single reason to be annoyed at Ollie, and there was leaks coming out under Ollie about Lingard and Bailly being annoyed. Ralf Rangnick comes in, again, Eric Bailly doesn't really play, Lingard doesn't really play. They have a reason to be annoyed at Ralf Rangnick. Man United discover who the leaker is, and all of a sudden Phil Jones is playing over Eric Bailly. All of a sudden Mata comes on before Lingard comes on at one point. Do you think, could these guys maybe be the leakers because they're getting no minutes at all? Bruno's been fucking dreadful. Lingard should be starting over Bruno, but he's not. Maguire's been fucking dreadful, but we'll give Phil Jones a start, but not Bailly. Do you ever think there's more to it? I'm not saying I know who the leaker is, but I'm saying that Paul Scholes has maybe suggested that Lingard's the leaker today, saying that Lingard's told him this. And the fact that Eric Bailly is publicly put stuff on Instagram, being like him and Varane should start, would suggest that if Eric Bailly is willing to say that publicly, that him and Varane should start, Eric Bailly is more than capable of saying privately to this person in the press, yeah, the problem at Man United is the manager's doing this, this, and this. And Ralph knows who the leaker is, and it's going to be someone that's not playing at all. And who's not playing at all? Eric Bailly. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a guess, but I did think that as well. Obviously, the players who aren't playing are going to be doing the leaking, as S King says. And Andrew says, here's an idea. How about stop keeping players you want to leave for some time, so many years beyond when they should have been sold, and that might solve the problem. Bailly shouldn't have got a new contract. Lingard and Bailly should have gone in the summer, and they're here. And I think that I like Lingard and Bailly, and I'm not saying they are the troublemakers, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if Lingard and Bailly were causing trouble because they're frustrated they're not playing. And I would be frustrated if I was Lingard and Bailly, to be fair, because they got promised all these minutes. They got promised game time, and they never got the game time they were promised. So I'd be annoyed if I was Lingard or Bailly. I would be annoyed, but I think they are potentially causing problems as well. Nick says he wants Rashford to stay. He just needs to knuckle down, concentrate on football again, and stop talking to the government for kids' meals. I'm going to be honest with you guys. People are saying Rashford gone. People are saying Bruno gone. We can't sell the whole squad. Okay, I think we know when Rashford's in form, he's a good player. When Bruno's in form, he's a good player. And I'm at the point where I have no issue with Bruno and Rashford staying and being involved next year, because I think in form, they'll be good players. They are good. Do you know what I mean? Lingard, he's had too many years out form, he needs to go. Bailly's just not been reliable enough, he needs to go. Matic is gone, Mata's gone, Pogba's gone, Cavani can fucking go. You know what? I can't remember who said it today, it might have been Neil, but they said, look, Cristiano Ronaldo at 37 has had to play week in, week out for Man United, 2 games a week at 37, because Edinson Cavani cannot be fucking bothered. Edinson Cavani is the 5th highest earner at this club, and he cannot be bothered. I don't think Edinson Cavani gives a shit about Manchester United. He is here for a bit of money. He has literally done fuck all. Cristiano Ronaldo at 37 years of age, just to play week in, week out. I bet you Ronaldo, if this club wasn't in the state that it was in, I bet you Ronaldo wouldn't have played today, because Ronaldo's got problems going on himself. But Ronaldo cares about football. He's got the right mentality. You know, Edison Cavani could stub his toe and he'd probably ring up United saying he broke his ankle and then he'd go fuck off to the boxing. Cavani is doing my head in. I'm sorry, he really is. He really is. Guys, if you have not already, please do subscribe to Alice Talks Football. We've got 500 people watching in the stream so far, so if you are new, please do subscribe and of course smash that like button. Let's go for 300 likes by the end of the video as well. I'm going to read out what Ten Hag has said. So Ten Hag yesterday said this, and this is massive, and then I'm going to get into what Rangnick said, because I'm halfway through my live stream and I haven't even got into what Rangnick said yet. But let me start with what Ten Hag said. Erik Ten Hag said that he thinks he can deal with big name footballers, but I will stay myself in that. I won't change my vision. I will tell them their task, and whoever does not meet those tasks will hear that from me, no matter who it is. Erik Ten Hag was asked in an interview, how is he going to deal with the big names at Manchester United? Is he going to be able to deal with these big egos, these big players? And Ten Hag said, I can deal with these big egos. I can deal with these big players. I'm going to be me. I'm not going to change my vision for them. If they're not going to do the task, if they don't meet the task, they will hear that from me. Big bish, bash, bosh, big up Ten Hag. He's saying, I'm not going to take shit from big United players. If they don't do their job, they will hear that from me. Boom, for Ten Hag. Ten Hag also said, because he was asked about, the demands he made before he got the job. Ten Hag said this in his interview. I make demands in advance before I arrive. If the club doesn't grant them, I won't take the job. I am the one responsible. I'm the one that will get judged by results. Ten Hag has confirmed that he wouldn't take the Manchester United job unless his demands were granted. And all the reports that Ten Hag would only join Manchester United if he was allowed power on new contracts, ins, outgoings, if he was allowed to bring his coaching staff in. Ten Hag literally came to United, and we know this from Romano. We know this from other reliable sources. We know that in Erik Ten Hag's interview with Manchester United, he went in on Fletcher and Murta. I'm shocked Ten Hag got the job, because Poch was probably telling them what they want to hear. Erik Ten Hag, in his interview, he went in Fletcher and Murta. He apparently basically was like, I will come to United, but managers have failed for the last 9 years. If I come to United, he's like, I want to bring in all my coaching. I don't want to work with your coaches. I want to decide who leaves, who comes, who gets new contracts. I want to do this. I want to do that. And Erik Ten Hag was like, I want the power to do things that you haven't given any of the other managers power to do before. And United have granted Ten Hag that. And Ten Hag's confirmed that. He said that I made demands in advance before I arrived at United, because I'm not going to join a club that isn't going to give me the demands I want, because I'm going to get judged by the results. And he's spot on. Erik Ten Hag says, I don't want to be a ruler. I want to work together, but having a say in transfers is a condition to me. Ten Hag confirming that he's going to have a say in transfers at United. He said he doesn't want to rule United, but he wants a say. Ten Hag's made it very clear to United. Now he's made it publicly clear he wants a say in transfers. So Ten Hag's confirmed publicly he made an agreement with Man United where he wants a say in transfers. Ten Hag's confirmed publicly he did make those demands to Manchester United. And Ten Hag's confirmed publicly if big name players don't listen to him, they will hear from him. He's not going to change for big name players. They will hear from him, which is exactly what this club needs. SS16 says, I read somewhere that we wanted Zidane so bad after Oli that we went for another Baldy. And Diego says, we're on 202 likes, so let's go for 300 likes, guys, as well. So everyone hit that like button so we can go for 300 likes. And Andrew says that Ten Hag is our last chance Gaffer to attract a Doff Gaffer. If we're in this state in a few years' time, no way we're getting another Erik Ten Hag level. Spot on, spot on. We are lucky to get Erik Ten Hag. I don't know why the fuck Ten Hag want to come in, but we are so lucky to get Ten Hag that we just can't mess that up. And Erik Ten Hag also said that he thinks he's in. I think that with me in charge, I made Ajax play the Ajax way, with always the intention to play great and play good with adventure and beauty. There is bigger winning mentality here. Ten Hag even said, so Ten Hag in his interview has said that he thinks he can deal with big name players. If the big names at Man United don't listen to him, they will know it. He will drop them. Ten Hag's come out and gone, if players at United with big names are causing problems, not playing his way, he will drop them. Ten Hag said he's made a demand in advance before joining Manchester United because he wants to make sure he's successful, so he's granted those demands of power. Ten Hag has also said, I want to stay in transfers at United. I don't want all the power. I want to say. But Ten Hag's also said, at Ajax, I made Ajax play the Ajax way, my way. At United, I want to make United play my way. I want to instill a winning mentality in United. And Ajax, Ten Hag literally said, Ajax have a big winning mentality now, and he wants United to have that, which I think is absolutely spot on. Hannibal should play against Chelsea. Garnacho should play against Chelsea, and all the youth should play against Chelsea. I agree with you there, Alexander. And a few of his guys from Ajax for sure. I will say, I watched a little bit of Ajax today. I watched a little bit. Timber. Okay, United need a right back. United need a centre back. United need every fucking position. But in a transfer window where United need so much, Kamara on a free. Okay, we need another midfielder. Kamara on a free. Bish, bash, bosh, bring him in. Tchouaméni, 50 million. Bish, bash, bosh, bring him in. Timber, centre back, can play right back. Fits on the Ten Hag system, bring him in. And another attacker like Nunes or Anthony. For those 4 players, United, is what I'm asking for. Please fucking do it. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how you guys feel. But I want to get into what Ralf Rangnick had to say because, guys, I think this is massive. I think this is big. I think you guys are going to be interested in this. So what has Ralf Rangnick had to say about United? And this is, I'm going to read this quote out and then I'll read Ralf Rangnick's interview. And I will explain what this means. Ralf Rangnick said yesterday, in medicine, you would say that this is an operation of open heart. This is also something that not just one single person as a manager can do. In all areas, you have to have top people and they have to work together in a very close and reliable way. So what Rangnick has said is basically, this is not a job that one single person or a manager can do. In all areas, you need to have top people and you need to work together in a reliable way. That is Rangnick's way of saying publicly yesterday, it doesn't matter that we're getting Ten Hag. We need to improve, not just manager, but everywhere. That's Rangnick saying the players need to improve. The players need to do better. The board need to improve. The board need to do better. The people higher up need to do better, and we need to change everywhere. He's saying bringing in a new manager, this is Rangnick saying bringing in a new manager is not going to change United. You need to change everywhere. The players need to change. The board needs to change. The people higher up need to change. And I really respect Ralf Rangnick for saying that because he's really basically saying it's not about Ten Hag coming in and being a better manager. It's about Ten Hag getting better players. It's about the board changing. Everything needs to change at United. And Ralf Rangnick is absolutely spot on. He's absolutely spot on. Ralf Rangnick, obviously, in his presser, he said that, the only good thing at United is that it's crystal clear what needs to happen. Rangnick said publicly, right now it's not good at United, but it's crystal clear what needs to happen. Ralf Rangnick said it's not only about how do we solve the problems. For me, it's, we've got to do lots of things. And as I said, Ralf Rangnick said in medicine, you would say this is an operation of open heart. This is something that not one single person can do. In all areas, you have to have top people that work together very, very closely. That is Ralf Rangnick's way of saying it's not just one player. It's not just the manager. It is the whole club. It's not Harry Maguire's fault we've been shit this season. He's been shit. He should have been dropped. He's cost us a few games, but it's not his fault. It's not Bruno's fault. I saw someone on Twitter say today, Bruno is the reason Man United don't have Champions League football. I thought, what? What do you mean Bruno's the reason we don't have Champions League football this season? We weren't getting Champions League football 2 months ago. Just because Bruno's missed a penalty doesn't mean he's the reason we're not getting Champions League football. We weren't getting Champions League football 2 months ago. We've been shit. We don't deserve it. Bruno's the reason we've had Champions League football these last 2 seasons, whether you like him or not. I think Bruno right now is shit. He deserves to be dropped, but I'm not going to turn my back on Bruno completely because he's the reason we were in the UCL the last 2 years. Don't think you can say, oh, it's Bruno's fault. It's not a single player's fault, and that's what Ralf Rangnick's saying. It's not the manager's fault. It's not a single player's fault. It's collectively a lot of people's fault. Rangnick was asked about Eric Bailly asking to play more on Instagram, and he said, if that's true what you told me, that should not happen in a football club, no matter which league. I don't think Eric Bailly is going to put on a football shirt for United again. I think we know Paul Pogba's played his last game for United, and I think Eric Bailly played his last game for Man United a long, long time ago because Ralf Rangnick is not happy. He said that what Eric Bailly's done should not happen in football, no matter any league. Rangnick confirmed again, Paul Pogba's out for the rest of the season. He's not going to be here. And then Rangnick was asked about Ten Hag, and this is what I think is really interesting. And what Rangnick said, Rangnick, when asked about Eric Ten Hag, said, From all I heard from people who have worked with him, he's a very communicative. He carries himself well, and he does a lot of things well. He obviously needs assistance of the whole club, of all the people inside. I think he will get that. Rangnick said, basically, Ten Hag's a good manager, but he will need the assistance of the whole club and all the people inside. So not only has Ralf Rangnick said that the board needs to do better, the owners need to do better, the whole club needs to be run better, but Rangnick's again said publicly, Eric Ten Hag is a good manager, but he's going to need the assistance of the whole club and all the people inside, and he thinks he will get that. well, that's just a positive, because we've promised Erik ten Hag these demands. Will we follow through with these demands, or will we throw Erik ten Hag under the bus? We have to wait and see. But Rangnick said that he thinks Erik ten Hag will get that as well, which I think is a positive. Rangnick said that ten Hag will hopefully have the chance to mould the new team together with the scouting department and together with the board, which is necessary. Rangnick making it clear that Erik ten Hag needs to work with the scouting department and the board to help choose players, and we are changing the scouting department, which is brilliant. Rangnick said this, and this is spot on from Ralf Rangnick. Rangnick said this: for me, the most vital part is the club manages to get it right and get the best possible players in and change the attitude and also the energy. I think we need positive energy for the new team, and this is also important for the new manager. Rangnick says, if he gets that, we spoke about other clubs that were in a similar position to United 5-6 years ago. So this is Ralf Rangnick basically coming out and saying that Man United players need to change their attitude. This is Rangnick basically saying the Man United players are shit and got a bad attitude, but in a good, collective, constructive way. He said that we need to bring in the right players and change the attitude of the players. That is Ralf Rangnick basically saying these players have a big attitude problem. He's talking about it's vital that we get ten Hag the right players in, but also with the right attitude and energy. They need to be positive players, positive attitude, positive energy. We need to make sure we get it right with ten Hag. That is Rangnick saying this board is fucked up. This board has brought in the wrong players. And this is also Rangnick basically saying these players have a bad attitude. These players are lazy. These players aren't right. And the players won't like that, because Ralf Rangnick has not only called out the board, saying the board are doing everything wrong, saying the board needs to back ten Hag, but Ralf Rangnick is basically saying the attitude of this players is bad. So Ralf Rangnick, you can criticise him all you want as a manager, but I tell you one thing about Ralf Rangnick: he knows this club. He knows what this club needs. He has the best intentions for this club. And Ralf Rangnick publicly coming out and literally saying, but in a more constructive way, the board needs to change. They need to back ten Hag. It's not a player's fault. It's not a manager's fault. It's not going to be ten Hag's fault if he fails. The whole board needs to change. Ralf Rangnick saying the whole board needs to change. The whole structure of the club needs to change. But Ralf Rangnick also saying, we need players with positive attitude and positive energy, and basically saying that these players don't have the right attitude or energy or work rate and that they're lazy. He's not holding back, and that's exactly what we need to hear. Rangnick also said, if the right lessons are being learned from what has happened this season, this could be one of the few good things about this going for a season like this. At least we know which kind of screws need to turn and what needs to change. Rangnick again publicly not holding back, saying, at least we know right now what United need to do to change, how we can change United. He's saying, this season's been so bad, but at least I know where the problem is. Again, not basically in fucking get rid of these players, fucking change this board, fucking change this whole club is basically what he's saying. He's saying, why should Man United not be as successful as the clubs like Liverpool and City are now? It's not just about the manager, it's about changing all the other things that have brought the club into the position. We're in the right position now. Again, Ralf Rangnick saying, the reason Man United are not at the level of City, the reason Man United are not at the level of Liverpool is because United need to change everything. He said that, we've got Erik ten Hag in, it's brilliant that we've got Erik ten Hag in, but this is more than changing the manager. Ralf Rangnick again publicly saying it's more than just changing the manager to be like City and Liverpool. Again, that's basically Ralf Rangnick saying you need to change the players. The chairs have got shit attitudes. You need to change the board. Brilliant interview from Ralf Rangnick. He also said a lot about how he wants the consultancy role. Rangnick was asked if he remain at United, and he said he's interested at United. He has a feeling that within the club after these 5.5 months, but he'll have to see the options. If Man United, basically Ralf Rangnick wants to stay at Manchester United and do that consultancy role. If the United board do not give Ralf Rangnick a job in the consultancy role, it's a disgrace. The United board, they probably don't like Ralf Rangnick, because Ralf Rangnick is coming out in interviews, exposing the players, exposing the board, and literally saying exactly what Man United need to do if they want to get things right. Ralf Rangnick is absolutely spot on, which is what the yes man, but he's not a yes man, which is why I think the reason Darren Fletcher makes decisions about the next manager and who the next player is, and Ralf Rangnick doesn't, is because Darren Fletcher's a yes man and will ultimately agree with what the Glazers and Arnold and Judge want. Ralf Rangnick will disagree with Judge. Ralf Rangnick will disagree with Matt Judge. Ralf Rangnick will disagree with the Glazers. If United do not give Ralf Rangnick a job higher up once his interim is up, they're an absolute disgrace. Because Ralf Rangnick knows exactly what we need to do. He said it publicly. He's done it. Ralf Rangnick's done it at RB Leipzig. He completely built that RB Leipzig club. He literally got RB Leipzig to become a good club from nothing. Ralf Rangnick has said publicly exactly what we know we need to do if we want to catch City or Liverpool. Ralf Rangnick knows exactly what Liverpool have done with American owners to get to the level they are, and Ralf Rangnick wants United to do that. Absolutely. And if Man United do not give Ralph the power he needs, it's a disgrace. SS16 says this club is more messed up than Gotham City's corruption. Does this girl take a breath? Said Andy. I do. I'm just fed up with United. Honestly, United need to make sure we give Ralph that consultancy role. Because Ralph Rangnick, again, is saying, he says, and also Ralph Rangnick said it's not going to take Man United 3 years to change things. He says that Man United can change this club in 1 or 2 years as long as they get their transfer windows right. Spot on, Ralph. And he said the changes at Man United is not something that one person can do, not something that one manager can do. He said, with all due respect to Klopp and Pep, I'm sure they didn't do those things themselves. Again, Ralph Rangnick saying for the third time, you can bring Ten Hag in, but other changes need to happen higher up. The board needs to change. And I love how Ralph Rangnick has called out the board multiple times saying they need to change. I love how Ralph Rangnick is saying that, it's not going to take 3 years to win a Premier League title. If we get our transfer windows right, it could take less. Ralph Rangnick said publicly it's about bringing in the right players, changing the player attitude, getting the transfer windows right, and the board changing and the structure changing. My man Ralph Rangnick is absolutely spot on. Man United is so far behind Liverpool and City in many ways, as Todd Seva has said. Honestly. And Ten Hag and Ralph need to join forces. I agree. Ten Hag, Ralph, Mitchell van der Gaard, and then get Paul Mitchell in and just let them all work together. Give them the power and they can restore our club. I'm worried the board are going to turn around to Ralph Rangnick and go, yeah, you can't get a job. Sorry, you keep calling us out. You can't get a job. We better give Ralph Rangnick a job or it's a disgrace. I'm worried the board have promised Ten Hag all this power and then they're going to turn around and buy a player about Ten Hag's position and they're going to piss off Ten Hag. I'm worried this board is going to do stuff. Now, getting into Arsenal 3, Manchester United 1, Rangnick has said after today's result, top 4 is gone. He said that it was an improved performance today, but at the end of the day, the result was disappointing. He said, I think we bounced back well from the early 2 goals we conceded, but, we can't defend like that. Ralph Rangnick said he thought a weak part of our performance today was that we didn't defend well inside or around the box. Ralph Rangnick, again, knows the defending was awful today. He also said we were unlucky with VAR decisions. But Ralph Rangnick, and this is an interesting thing, was asked by Miguel Delaney. Miguel Delaney asked Ralph Rangnick if there's a problem with the United dressing room. And Ralph Rangnick says, I don't know. You'll have to ask Jesse Lingard. Ralph Rangnick is fuming with Jesse Lingard because he knows Jesse Lingard's been mouthing off about the dressing room issues. And Ralph Rangnick said publicly, I don't know if there's dressing room issues. You're going to have to ask Jesse Lingard. He is fuming. And I don't blame him. I don't think Paul Scholes should have done Lingard like that. I understand why Lingard would tell someone. This is the thing. I'm not mad at Lingard for going to Paul Scholes those dressing room issues because it's basically like him going to Paul Scholes saying water is wet. If I was a Man United player and I knew Paul Scholes and I trusted Paul Scholes, I would be saying privately to Paul Scholes there's a big issue at United because he probably wasn't expecting Paul Scholes to leak that to everybody. But Ralph Rangnick is fuming with Jesse Lingard for saying that. You can tell. Ralph Rangnick said, obviously, after games like today, it's massively disappointing in the locker room. For me, this is normal. And Ralph Rangnick said also to Samuel Luckhurst, I think the whole group get on reasonable with each other. I'm not daring to say they get on well with each other, but I think they get on reasonably. I don't know if there's an issue in regard to the locker room. But obviously, he said, if there is an issue, you're going to have to ask Jesse Lingard. Because Paul Scholes has said publicly that Jesse Lingard has told them there's a big, big problem in the dressing room. Someone said Rangnick thug life. I love Rangnick because he doesn't give a shit. JB says Ten Hag has a huge job on his hands. He does. And no one wants to say the funny thing, Lingard is going. Well, he's out of contract in the summer, and I don't think he'll be getting a new one after that as well. But yeah, I'm not even like the thing is, I'm not pissed at all with Lingard. If Lingard is the leaker, that's a bit shit of him. He shouldn't be the leaker. But I think Lingard's just said something to Paul Scholes, which he hasn't expected Paul Scholes to say publicly, and he's now been exposed. Lingard could well and truly be the leaker because the fact that he's telling Paul Scholes shit means he could be telling the media shit, and he's not playing. So Lingard could well and truly be the leaker because Lingard almost has the most reason to be pissed off at United. When you think about it, Ollie pissed off Lingard, stopped him moving to West Ham, promised him game time. Lingard came off the bench, scored a few goals, never got game time under Ollie, despite everyone being shit. Ralph Rangnick never gave Lingard a chance. The board stopped Lingard leaving on the last day of January. Lingard has every reason to be annoyed with United. Lingard could be the leaker. But we do know that Lingard has definitely linked things to Paul Scholes. But at the end of the day, Lingard's not the problem at United. He's leaving in the summer. People like Lingard, people like Pogba, Mata, Matic, there's no point complaining about them. Even Cavani, Cavani never playing, pissing me off. There's no point complaining about them because they're going to be gone in the summer, if you get what I mean. And now, to the interesting bit, and I've taken nearly 45 minutes to actually get to the interviews because I've been waffling so much, but there's so much to talk about. Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry I haven't really engaged with the live chat, but there's just so much to talk about at the moment. But Scott McTominay's post-match interview. Now, I'm sure most of you guys have probably seen or watched Scott McTominay's post-match interview. But Scott McTominay said, obviously, we dominate the first 20 to 25 minutes of the second half, and then they go down the other side of the pitch and score. That's how it's going at the minute. He said there are a whole lot of problems in terms of players, staff, and everything higher up. Scott McTominay coming out and publicly saying there's a lot of problems at Manchester United in terms of players, staff, and everything higher up, exposing this club. Scott McTominay says we need to concentrate on what's happening on the pitch. It's self-pride on the pitch. We don't need to worry about who's saying what. It's pride when you go on the pitch. You give your best respect to everyone, which is spot on. I don't think Scott McTominay is our best player. He's got the right attitude. And I like how Scott McTominay said there's a lot of problems from players to staff to higher up. McTominay again confirming there's issues with players, there's issues with staff, there's issues with things higher up. Scott McTominay says you've got to be pride when you're on the pitch. You've got to give it everything. Scott McTominay says there's lots of things going on at Manchester United at the minute. Do not get me wrong. For us, when we get back into the dressing room, it's about going home and taking a look at ourselves in the mirror. I think Scott McTominay, again, is basically confirming there's big issues at United, big issues in that dressing room, but he can't actually say what it is. And Scott McTominay says you can't be satisfied with conceding 3 goals away at Arsenal. He says, I feel like we deserve to win the game, but it's not how football works. He said that Man United right now are probably lacking self-confidence, self-belief. You can see it all in these last 2 months. We had a half-decent game today, but it's about belief, which is big in football when it's not here at the minute. Scott McTominay has come out publicly and said there's big problems at this club. They don't have belief. They don't have confidence. And you can see that with United. I agree with Scott McTominay. I don't think this was our best game today. I don't think it was our worst game today. I think we improved today, but I think Arsenal had the belief. Arsenal had the determination. Arsenal had the confidence. Bruno missing a penalty. Bruno missing a sitter. I think United just didn't have the confidence today. McTominay is a good lad, but he can't be a starter. This is the thing. If we gave McTominay's mentality to all the players, we'd be a good team. You know, McTominay and Fred, they might not be our best players. I actually think Fred's good enough to start for United, but McTominay and Fred might not be our best players. But I think as time comes on, it's so clear why McTominay and Fred would play week in, week out under Ollie. Because at least they have the right mentality, at least they have the right work mindset, at least they work hard. You can't say that about many of the other players. You know, Fred, we hate them. We don't hate them, but I like McTominay as an individual. I like Fred as an individual. I don't like McTominay and Fred playing together. We can all say that. Fred, oof. But at least, you know, they might not be the best players, but at least they have the right mindset. And it's like, if we could give Fred's mindset to all the best players at United, then maybe we'd be a good team. Maybe not. My camera's gone all blurry. I know, it's gone out of focus. I don't know why my camera's gone out of focus, but it loves to do that. Guys, we've got over 600 people watching, so I am going to say, if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, and I'm staring at my camera because I'm trying to see if this blur will work. Fucking hell. But if you're not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe down below if you're new. I go live every single evening with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. So please do subscribe to my channel if you're new. Of course, hit that like button as well. Can we go for 300 likes? Over 600 people watching. And look, guys, I'm going to be live tomorrow night with some more Manchester United news and updates. I'm going to be live, obviously, Thursday night for a Man United Chelsea watch along. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more, please do subscribe to my channel. I will be live pretty much every single evening. There'll be short videos during the day. I do watch alongs to every Manchester United game. I do post-match reactions to every Man United game. I do reviews to United games. I talk about players. I talk about issues. I do transfer news. Obviously, all the latest on Ten Hag and his transfers and the players he wants to bring in and out. You know, there's a lot of transfer news going on around Man United at the moment because now Ten Hag's finally confirmed United can work on transfers for the summer. So if you want to stay up to date with not only, you know, all the latest Manchester United transfer news, but watch longs, match preview, updates and more, please do subscribe to the channel as well. And of course, hit that like button because I am going to go and end the live stream here. I think it's been a really good live stream. Big up everybody in the chat as well. Sorry if I didn't get through many live chats today. Sorry that I didn't read out many live chats today, but it's just, there's so much to talk about. I had so much, like my notes, if I show you my notes, it's literally like 3 pages. So I think when I'm live tomorrow, hopefully there won't be loads and loads to talk about because literally if you just look at my notes, it's just, you know, I've just all this crap in my notes that I just had so much to get through. So I do apologize for not reading many live chats, but I will be live tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And hopefully United will, I'm expecting Meek's dressing room report tomorrow, but hopefully it's not a shit show tomorrow.